So, hello again. Uh, just back from New England, a week-long trip, visiting, relamping a few churches, and did four churches. And I think the newest church was built in 1820. So, of the four, one church stood out, experience-wise. So, not going to name names, but the church was built. The building was built in 1784, I believe. Has an adjacent burying ground cemetery next to it. So showed up there last week in the morning, waiting on everyone else to appear. So I wandered through the cemetery, and up on the hill is the older section of cemetery from about the Revolutionary War, 1760s, the 1790s, 1810, in that range. And they have the old fancy etchings on the gravestones of the angel, the skull with the wings, and all the everything you'd expect in a colonial New England cemetery. So I wandered up there and tried to read the stones. I got up to the top of the hill, and in front of one pair of stones, there was a family plot. I just got the ick. I got that sour energy again, like I got at the camp over here in Michigan last November. Not as strong, but I got approached that plot, and just the area around that plot, oh, just that weird, prickly, soury kind of energy around it. Didn't feel exactly pleasant. It didn't feel threatening, but it didn't feel pleasant. So, you know, I was waiting on people to arrive. I didn't dwell around it. I kept walking around the cemetery because I wanted to get around it before they got there. So one spot was kind of ick. Went further up and saw some stones from a family name I recognized, friends in the next town. So I'm assuming those are the ancestors from that area. Um, got up a little further, and there was another area of just a little bit ick, a little bit of that, again, sour energy around that family plot. Not as strong as the previous one, but just kind of, okay, something's going on here. So I asked for the white light. I asked for the uplifting of any spirits who were stuck in that location, called down the angels, called down the spirit guides, ascendant masters, archangels, whoever could help out. I'd just say, okay, please clear. Don't let anyone be stuck in the cemetery. Please go to the light. Again, not sure it helped. I walked past that first plot. I didn't feel it again, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. I was kind of in a hurry too. So anyway, got into the building. Everyone arrived about 10 minutes later. Got into the building, and of course, I jokingly ask every time, "Okay, where are the ghosts hanging out in this church?" And got kind of like a nervous laugh. It's like, "Oh, I don't know of any ghosts in this church." So we get started. Start changing out some lights, and a few other people showed up about a half hour later. So I mentioned it again, um, and said, "Oh, well, my husband hears knocking all over this church. There's knocking going on." She says, I've heard it once or twice. I don't know whether I believe it, but yeah, there's supposed to be a knocker. Someone's knocking on the walls all the time." I'm like, okay. Um, Sometime later, a couple hours later, the pastor came in to work for an hour. And of course, we were already talking about ghosts at that point. And I said, "Have you heard the knocking?" He goes, "Oh, yeah, I've heard the knocking a number of times in this building. And it's always on the walls. And it's like, pretty loud, assertive knocking. They want you to know that they're there, I'm guessing. So he swears that he knows that there's something in that church knocking on the walls. So fast forward to later in the afternoon. We're in the basement, and I'm doing well, there's three rooms together. Then there's classrooms down the other side. The other two, our host and a friend of mine, are down doing the classrooms down the hallway, opposite side of the building. So I get going in this room. Everything needed to be gutted and redone, lamp wise. A lot of stuff around. There's a bigger room, a smaller side room, and then a kitchen with one door. Decent sized room. There's a counter, refrigerator. Then there's a door to the outside, which is locked and bolted, closed. You could open it, but it was not open. and not easy to open. So I got about and I get to the lights by the doorway to the kitchen, and all of a sudden I hear like boom, like someone slammed a door. Like, hello, hello. All right, I don't know what's going on. I don't have time. I need to finish this up. It was the end of the day. We're ready to get out of there. It was hot and humid. I didn't want to stick around. So I'm like, okay. So big noise in that room. So I keep going, next one. And then maybe 10, 15 minutes later, on the other side, the right side, that was on the left side. And then the right side of the room, I heard bam, boom, boom, boom. And then some very pronounced patternistic knocking on whatever surface in there. I hear some stuff jumbling around because there was some storage in there as well. So I go, okay, I don't know who's here. I don't have time for this. You need to go to the light. I'm not messing around. I don't have time to deal with you. Go to the light, find forgiveness, call down the spirit guides, guardian angels, all that. I said, please get this spirit out of here, help them find their way. But it was very pronounced, very pronounced. So of course we finish up finally, and I say I heard the knocking down in the kitchen, sound like the door, and then there was a bunch of bam, bam, bam on the wall. So the hosts of the church is like, oh, I don't know if they wanted to believe it or not, but I confirmed from them that there's knocking in the church. So that church has a knocker. So I don't know what their point is, but it was an interesting experience. It wasn't threatening. Of course, it takes a lot to bother me these days after having seen and heard everything that I've seen. If you've seen my other videos, having stuff thrown at you, smell the cigar, shadow figures, lights flashing, whistling. I've seen and heard a lot in these big empty churches when I'm in there by myself. So it was another interesting experience to be chalked up. So if I go back there again to do some more relamping for them, I'm going to be better prepared and maybe have some prayers, some tools, some gear with me to try to see what's going on there. But just thought I would share that because it's been a while since I've had a decent experience at a church or an empty building while relamping by myself. So anyway, um, interesting story. Um, you have any stories, let me know. Check out my other videos if you want. But thanks for listening, and I'll keep them coming. The other churches, about the same age, nothing. Of course, there were a bunch of us together the whole time. So if I get anything in the future, I'll keep you guys posted. But thanks.